Hello, my friend. I'm so happy you joined us for this episode of the Enneagram and Marriage podcast. Today, we're talking about the monthly relationship blueprint, the 30-minute edition. This is a wonderful practice that I hope you and your partner will decide to incorporate as you get healthier as a couple and decide to create great trends and relationship depths. But also, as we said on Monday, keep your relationship in good form with not making it everything and decentralizing it a bit. So, we have an ambitious topic today to do for our mini episode, but I'm so thankful and excited about this topic because for our marriage minute today, I'll just go ahead and say that it was such a joy to start practicing these monthly marriage meetings with Wes, myself, and really allow also our people taking our Enneagram relationship intensive to do a bit of a longer version, a bit more in depth. So I'm so excited to give you this quick dive version today that Wes and I decided was a good space for our relationship right now. We're not going through anything major right now. So we just need those little check-ins. And that's maybe where you are too. And if you're like, Christa, I need the deeper dive, then be on the lookout for our next programs. We're going to be doing programs all year, and you can hop into some of our intensive times and classes if you're just like, I need more. We also have myself and others who do coaching here, so you can certainly do that as well. But I just want to invite everybody into this 30-minute relationship blueprint framework so that you can allow yourself a chance to dive in monthly with your partnership and feel good about where you guys are headed and where you're at now. Like I said, the marriage minute for Wes and I is fun that we're like, okay, this is way more than we need right now. So we also need to get to our dream dates that we created for the Wholehearted Enneagram Conference with Amy Wicks. And we need our other fun project dates, and we need our date in the month that's just random. And so we have a rhythm that we like to follow. But this is one of the most important pieces because if you don't work on your relationship with intention and with a sense of self-soothing so that you're not in chaos, you won't get to talk about the important things. So I'm so glad you pressed play on this episode so you could join me. I also have a live link from Canva for you if you're just like, Christa, I'm going to listen in, but I'm going to actually want to read it on my phone also as well, just so that I have a visual. So it is there. You don't have to take rampant notes, and that is in the show notes as well. But I also now just want to allow you to take that deep breath, to immerse yourself in the episode, and allow yourself to be open up to the idea of how important it is to do relationship care. And the reason I start there is I just saw some great research from Jay Stringer. And in fact, I was just actually asking his assistant, hey, when is the conference that he and Adam Young and Sheila Ragwar are doing? And it's coming up in May. And I was so glad it was paired with, I'm not sure if you saw this, probably some of you did, their topic of avoidant attachment. And we just had Julie Manano of the Secure Relationship on talking about this as well. But the reminder from Jay was that those people who are not centralizing the relationship too much, who are doing sort of the opposite, the withdrawing stance people, it's hard to have a relationship conversation at all. So I feel like whereas on Monday I was saying, hey guys, those of you who are centralizing too much, back down a little. To those who are so scared to even have a relationship conversation, and also to just everybody, I'm saying today's episode is for you so that you have a beautiful framework from which to use so that you don't have to fear we're going to be here for hours and for days and we're not going to be able to do our work together with any health. We're going to move away from each other. And this is always the fear, right? Is it's going to become too much or it's going to make things worse. And that's always possible. Humans are never an exact science. I've said that many times on this podcast, but it's also so important that with a healthy framework, you're much more likely to make progress. So that's what I'm going to take you through today. And that way you can allow yourself to step into that. And I invite you now to look at your calendars to think about when would be a good time to set a little 30 minutes at least time aside for you in a place that you think would be a safe setting for a good conversation about the highs and lows of the relationship over the month. And your first meeting, you might even get bigger picture because you might be like, oh, we didn't talk about it last month. So I'm going to just talk in general about you and me. But definitely you want to have a safe place away from the kids. And you want to make sure that you allow yourself to take a couple minutes at the beginning of that meeting just to breathe and just to be quiet. So, something that we do when we have these meetings is we just allow ourselves to center, to get back to peace if we're heightened, which often I am. I'm just like moving a lot and doing a lot. And so it's just nice to put 5 minutes on the clock and just say, okay, let's start in about 5 minutes. Often we'll start in the car, even maybe on the way to a restaurant or a park. But just start off, notice with your timers or your phones. Let's give ourselves 5 minutes. We don't look at our phones in those times, and we allow ourselves to really just rest for a minute. And if we haven't come in with a written reminder of what we want to talk about, one or two things each, then that's also a good time to just regroup and ask yourself, and maybe even to pray to God, hey, what's biggest in my marriage right now? Just taking a moment to just see, like, what are some of the things that if there's just one or two things that I want to make sure I get to talk about, here's what they are. And it might be something positive that comes in your mind, but it's probably also, because these meetings are about both the positive and the negative, it's probably also going to have some negative to it as well. Like, oh, I really want to talk about how I've been feeling inequity with chores or feeling all touched out or whatever it is. You just allow yourself in that first 2 to 5 minutes to just really be at peace, to breathe, and to come with a couple of ideas for conversation. So you're going to want to have a distraction-free environment, no phones, this centering time for yourself. And then this is the fun part. In the beginning of the meeting, you're just connecting and sharing, and you're allowing yourself, if you're the comfortable type to do this, you can even allow a few minutes of hand holding or breath work together, or otherwise just allowing yourself some space to share appreciations about each other for about 5 minutes each total. But what you'll do is you'll allow yourselves to share without interruption, just things that you love and appreciate about your spouse. And for some of you, that's so easy and you could talk for days on end. For most of you, maybe a few minutes, and this is the perfect time frame in that way because you're like, I'm also upset with them sometimes. So just taking about 5 minutes, and you can clock it just to make sure you don't shortchange your spouse and allow them to just hear from you first and foremost what you've appreciated, because humans are so quick to negatively scan. So just take a few moments. Hey, I'm so grateful. You could go through different topics like maybe children, family, finances, food preparation, work, anything you like. Hey, I love the way you take care of your body. I love to see this little 1% change I've noticed lately, and allowing some grace within that conversation. And if you're the partner, just saying back to your partner, thank you, instead of arguing back, well, you're wrong, I don't do that, or you said 1% better, but I've been 10% better. This is not a time, just enjoy it. Just drink it up. Allow your narrative to just be like, oh, this feels so good. My partner is reminding me. I know what Wes says to me when we do this. He's like, oh, this feels so good. I need that attaboy with my type 1 and 3 personality. Like, I need that. And so just allow your spouse to have that time. For me, it's a little harder. And so that's a good challenge for me to stay with that, to let myself hear those things. So that's a good shoring up for you guys for about 5 minutes. And then in that middle section of this meeting, you're going to start exploring the topics one at a time, where each of you takes turns sharing about the struggles you're experiencing. And I said one or two, not more than that, just one or two things. Hey, I'm using I language to talk about what I feel has been a struggle for me lately. Sometimes I'll get a little teary when I talk about this, but generally I try to keep it into that time of the month when I'm going to be less hormonally challenged. And Wes too, midday is great for him, being a male, which it's morning to night testosterone. And for me, it's usually mid-cycle, but we're all different, and it's okay to do this at any point. Tears are okay, as Adam Young challenged me. But I really like pairing with food. So that's part of the reason is I want to to go out to a restaurant. I don't want to be like bawling in the restaurant. Although one time I did do that when I was grieving and the waiter was so fine. I was like, I'm just having a really hard day. So it is okay. Tears are okay. But I think that it's also good to know yourself and to say, where will we be the most productive? And that's usually by not bringing up more than one or two things and using I language and finding topics that you can talk about. You could make this a writing exercise if that's even more difficult. That's okay too. But it's great to be able to say, I'm feeling this way when this happens. Give as much grace as you can. I don't think you're meaning this to be malicious. I don't think that you're trying to hurt me. This is all so good. And then within that 5 to 7 minutes, you guys can clock that too. The listener just reflects back by saying, okay, I understand this is what you're saying. Am I getting this right? Checking in and making sure you're reflecting back, understanding, not trying to solve problems yet. And this is very key for your monthly meeting is that you've built each other up after some time of quiet. You've connected on what you love. And then now you're starting to say, here's how I'm feeling and here's what's happening. And so the other partner says, okay, and am I getting it right? And there's no problem solving yet because you're still assessing whether you got it right. Once you've assessed that, now you can go to work on trying to brainstorm for about 5 minutes. So that's a good space to collaborate on problem solving, brainstorm possible approaches. If I did this, would it help? How about if I XYZ, agree on small specific actions, and create some accountability for that. So I know it's like, oh my gosh, we did it, let's leave it. And often people stop right there versus nailing it down a bit of what it's going to look like in the week. When will you do things? And that's such an important part of it all. And nobody's going to do it perfectly. We're looking for 1% better changes, as you'll see on my Canva document. But this is a great place to start. Now, the other person can come in with their middle section as well. And you could trade right in the middle of that before the problem solving. But for me and Wes, once we've uncovered it and we've been understood, it's a good time for us to just dig right in to say, let's go at it now and see what would be helpful. And because we've already built each other up and we're talking in such a loving way, there's no sense of like, you're against me. And there's usually feelings you feel when you're all hyper agitated and aroused, you're getting on my nerves. All those things are so much less likely to happen. So it's a really cool time to do that. Both of you go through it. Now you're at about that 25-30 minute mark, and you can just allow yourself some gratitude expression. You can say, here's what a win was from our relationship week or month. Have a little connection of touch where you may pray together or you may hold hands again or go get an ice cream like we do sometimes. And you might even say, we're going to write it all down. That's up to you. I'm looking for that 1% better approach with you, that atomic habits, that you're just building things. You're focusing on new systems, not just goals. And you're looking to say, I'm looking for a small change that will be a big impact because we're going to do this every month. And don't forget to set the next month after you do this. So I'm so proud of you for hearing about your relationship blueprint, the 30-minute edition version. I'm so grateful you're here. Make sure you reach out to us if you need bigger, better, broader support. Grab this in the show notes if you want the written doc as well. Thank you so much for joining me this midweek. It is such a joy. Take a nice deep breath. Allow yourself to carry one thing from the episode, and hopefully that thing is we now have a blueprint to have some really good conversations. Oh my gosh, feels so good to get that progress you want, to feel that safety, to feel that love, to feel that connection. So wish the best for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.